So, welcome everyone who are here today in the room and on Zoom. Today, we're going to talk about moving our mental roadblocks and what that is. Let's see. No? Yes. I want to introduce some heroes in science at work. The science sentinels. They have been working hard all year, producing data, making discovery, disseminating science, communicating their findings. And now we find ourselves at their New Year's Eve party. It's a time for reflection and for checking in with themselves. How do I feel about this year? There are some good things, maybe even some great things, but also some things that were a bit difficult. And talking about this, they decide upon to have some New Year's resolution. And first they are very motivated and they feel like, yes, this is going to be great. But then one of them asks, didn't you have the same New Year's resolution last year? Well, yeah, but I didn't stick to it. And why is that? If we know what we want to change, why does it not happen? And a small clue is, the key is not to just power through. And it's not to just go out and do it, just do it. No. Today, I will invite you to look at change in a different way. I want to introduce to you the concept of immunity to change theory. It was conceptualized by Harvard professor Robert Kegan and Lisa Lascolahy. It states that immunity to change is an inability to change because of deep-rooted assumptions and conflicting commitments. And this may be so entranced that they are unconscious. At a glance, their theory and method can be summarized into 5 points. Commit to a change goal. Describe the behavior you need to change. Uncover your hidden competing commitments. And then tease out your big assumptions and go test your assumptions. And inspired by this, we have created our own CSI model, which I will introduce soon. But before that, I want to start to draw your attention to the relationships between beliefs and values. And I will use an example related to stress and burnout. So beliefs, a mental construct or conviction that one holds to be true or accept as real. For example, success includes working overtime. Values, principles and standards that reflect what is considered important, desirable, or morally right. For example, we may praise and give status to long days and weekend work. Actions, something we do either with intent and purpose or unconsciously and reactively. So maybe we start working long days and weekends. And this is just one example that could be some beliefs and truths that we hold within ourselves that may lead us towards burnout. Now, our model we call the Moving Mental Roadblocks Model. And I will go through it with you today. First, setting a goal. What do I want to change? And note that this is something that is within my control to change. And when we start setting goals, we tend to formulate them in things that we want to stop doing, stop procrastinating, stop snacking between meals, or stress less. This can be a good first step to just identify what kind of goals we have, but then it's very good to reformulate them into something that we want to become instead. So we might reformulate them into start early and on specified time and date, or eat to keep my blood sugar balanced, or for example, introduce rest in my schedule. The next thing to do is to assess the current situation. What am I currently doing or not doing to contribute to my situation? For example, and here it's also very good to be as descriptive as possible and then leave all the solutions that might pop up when you do this to the side for a moment. Describing, okay, I'm working very long days. I do too little rest in my work days. Maybe I have my current work-life balance is maybe considered poor. And then it's good to be as concrete and actionable and rewrite them again. So be very specific. For example, I work 10-hour days, or no scheduled rest, or what is it that is in my work-life balance that's not working? Is it I work weekends every week, or is it something else? The next step is to look at fears and self-protection and the relationships between them. What are my fears around change? And what are my current actions protecting me from? For example, we may worry about falling behind on something, which might be annoying and irritating and worrisome. So then we have a protective behavior by, okay, well, I work through lunch this day, so I get this done. Or, but the big things that usually hold us back are connected to our big fears. So for example, if I don't make this a great success, I'll be considered worthless and insignificant. If we have those fears about something, then we might be willing to, for example, work long hours and weekends, even though we might be tired and need rest. So how do we find those big fears that we have? Well, we can imagine taking the opposite action from what protects us, and then watch what fears pop up in our mind. And this is very important. So learning to sit with this that makes us uncomfortable and then get curious about it and observing it, this is where we find our personal breakthroughs. So just sitting with it a little bit, imagining if I do the opposite, what will my brain supply me? It will just give you all your fears then. Very good to be aware of. Then we come to big beliefs and assumptions. What are they and how do they keep me from changing? So here's good to check in with yourself, what resonates with you, and try out like different statements. Do I believe that success includes working overtime? Do I believe that it's lazy to take a break? Do I believe that effective people don't take breaks? Do I believe that good employees produces results continuously, regardless of outside circumstance? So just keep trying out statements and look for strong emotional attachment, especially to statements that prevent your desired goal, your desired change goal. And then we simply pick a new belief that we want to believe. What would serve us better to believe in this situation? And we try out how those statements feel. Perhaps success includes optimizing tasks to match my brain energy of the day. Taking a break keeps my mind sharp. Effective employees prioritize health and sustainability, where rest is necessary. And then it's always good to do a value alignment. Does this new belief that I picked that serves me better, is this something that does this belief feel good, or do I experience some resistance? Because if we experience some resistance to this new belief that we pick, a good advice is to go back to step 5 and then reformulate it. Because if we then we lower the risk that we have some other unconscious belief that will work against us when we are on this journey to reach our change goal. Otherwise, we just go forth. And then we exit this. When we exit this model, we have some new knowledge, how to state and reformulate our goal, how our current situation, what I'm doing and not doing to contribute to it, what fears and self-protections, what actions I take due to things I fear keeps me from the change that I want. What are my big beliefs and assumptions? What emotional attachments do I have to those that perhaps prevent me from changing the things that I want to change? And then also we have formulated some new conscious beliefs that serve us better. And we have done a value alignment to see if these beliefs matches my current values. When we do exit this, we can use a tool that we call emotional thought and action ladder. And this is an individual's mental tool that you build yourself. And I will show an example of this from going from stress to feeling more rested. But before I do that, I just want to say a few words on magnitude of emotional jumps. if we are in a state of deep sadness, it's not very helpful to just think positive thoughts. Everything will be great. That's not always very helpful in those moments. And that's because it's too big of an emotional jump to make in that instance. It's like trying to jump across a river when we're not physically capable of doing so. So we'll just end up in the cold. But if we instead find smaller jumps or steps, then we can in time get across. So this is then what we are using in this emotional thought and action ladder, or ETA, estimated time of arrival from this state to the next. So this is an example from stress to rest. So we start by defining what it looks like at the bottom of this ladder. What does it feels like when we are stressed? Tension, fear, maybe anger and sadness, and a pressure in the body. What thoughts do we often think? Well, we often do think that, oh, I'm stressed. Yeah, I'm so stressed. So much to do. And from the Moving Mental Roadblocks Model, we then know what underlying beliefs and assumptions give fuel to these emotions and thoughts. What we can do then is to challenge these beliefs around the core stress factor that we have. Are they actually true? We can take this challenging action. For example, if we, in this example, work on weekend when we need rest, one challenge can then be to not work for one weekend and see what happens. And like any good experiments, you would need multiple data points to form a conclusion. So that would be the first step. Each next step on the ladder that you build should leave you feeling a little bit better, or at least less bad, or more neutral on the topic of change. So when we then produced this map of what this would look like, so maybe some less bad emotions. They don't have to go like being great, but maybe less bad. So maybe feeling a little bit anxious and worry and a small urgency is less bad than we felt before. And something that can change in the thinking could be that I keep thinking I'm stressed instead of having the thought I'm stressed. Let's see. And this is an important distinction, because if we think I am stressed, the stress is very close to being us. But when we observe the stress, it's further away. So we create this little gap. And when we practice to actively notice that and think, sometimes I take a break. We do this to help our brain practice this new neural pathway, this new narrative about our situation. So it might sound a little silly that we should like practice a thought and just repeatedly say it, but that's good for the brain, because then those neurons that thinking that thought get some exercise and they get used, and we start to soon feel that this is normal to think that, to note it instead of being distressed. And then just keep on challenging all the beliefs, the strongest beliefs that come up around this stress factor, to really investigate in a scientific way or a subjectively scientific way for yourself. Is this true? All these things that I think about that I have to do on my to-do list, for example, it can be. And then somewhere along the way, we might start feeling some good emotions as well. And here it's important to note, for example, when we do these behaviors that also makes us feel good, just to practice noticing by actively thinking. Sometimes I take a break. See, I did that. And also to show compassion towards our progress. Maybe we don't take all the breaks we intended to, but we did take some. And that's very important, to also then be compassionate towards ourselves, that we are trying and we are doing some progress. And then we might even start to feel a little bit good. And notice, just notice by thinking it, yeah, I can schedule daily breaks. When you do it every time, just train your brain, train your neural network that this is the new normal. This is where we want to go. And because we may be doing some new things that we not have been doing before, like this, taking the break in this example, maybe some new beliefs pop up. And then you just keep challenging that also, that is around that there might be counteract. So if there's something new that be counteractive to what you have as a goal, just put it on your list of challenges and come up with a little challenge, and then you do that. And then when we reach this state that we have more rest and we are feeling more energetic on a daily basis, just take note of that. I feel rested today. Note it, so it doesn't just fly by. It's very important that you just think of your brain sometimes as a little like a child that you need to talk to and really like, look, this was good, and explain these things, because it might sound a little bit silly or feel that way sometimes, but it's really just to practice your neural network, sort of calibrate it to this new behavior. And then practice self-care by keeping your breaks or keeping the behavior to just stay there. Yes. And that was it for this one. So thank you for listening. And we will have soon on our webpage as well some more examples of how to create these types of thought ladders, and also a shorter version of the Moving Mental Roadblocks Model. We will now move into a discussion and reflection in the room. And so we will close the recording on Zoom.